guys, Marmalade here for Q A number 12. Let's get started right away. Question number 1. So I had Todd Alexander ask me, do you think actual crampons are worth the weight investment over microspikes? Obviously in light snow years, probably not. Very good question. I live in San Diego. By the way, today it's almost 85 today in middle of November. Pretty good, right? So don't be jealous if you're in the East Coast. So because I live here, I never had any experience with microspikes or crampons or anything. And because we had a heavy snow year this year with El Nino, and we had a lot of snow locally. It was even some in Mount Laguna, which is mile 43, and then above Ottawa, which is mile like 170, and then in Big Bear, which is about 260 something, and in Wrightwood, and that was just in Southern California. So what I would suggest, what I got, and this is a personal thing, I have never used crampons, and until this year I'd never used microspikes, but I consider crampons but know nothing about them. And so what I did was I searched on Amazon. I found something that I personally really liked, and I found out it was the trend this year, so I kind of got lucky. I bought them, and everybody seemed to have them, and it's by Hillsound, and they're called trail crampons. So what I liked about them is microspikes, the spikes are very short, maybe a quarter of an inch or a little longer, but and crampons, when you get the full crampons, are an inch or longer, but mine were 3/4 of an inch. I found that I felt they were a happy medium between a crampon and a microspike. So I felt that the extensive snow that we were going to see, especially in the Sierras, which I never ended up getting to, but that I think the trail crampon would work. And what I liked about them is they go on your foot. I'm going to show you a couple pictures from my Amazon account here. I don't have them with me right now. And what I liked about them is they go on over your shoe, and I have trail runners like a regular microspike, but the spikes are longer, 3/4 of an inch, and I like that there's also a Velcro strap over the top that keeps everything in place. Some of the cheapo microspikes, they just slide over your shoe, but when you're on a trail and you're on a side hill and they're gripping on things, it can practically pull them right off or get them all askew. So I like that mine had the Velcro over the top and stayed on. I never used them in extremes. I mean, there was actually extreme snow above Ottawa, so I can't say that. So they worked great. I mean, I was super happy with them, and I still have them, so I plan on using them this next year. Also, Todd had asked me how my trail son Adam, who I hiked most of the desert with, is doing, and whether he finished the trail. Here's a few clips that I have, or pictures of him, just to remind you if you've watched my through hike. All right, guys, we're at the, where are we? Cascade Locks Ale House, and I'm with my old man right here, Adam. So I love that kid, Adam. We talk once in a great while. I just texted him recently to find out what he's doing. He's just working. He's working like a landscaping job and saving money. He lives in a small town in Oregon, and he's really into bushcrafting, you know, going out in the winter and surviving. And I really think that's pretty cool. I know nothing about it. He's also possibly going to school, so he's thinking about what he wants to do for the future. He still plans on. He told me he plans on through hiking, but not in the immediate future. To answer your question about, he quit when I did at Canyon Meadows and went home and was waiting for the snow and was possibly going to go. I went and flipped, as you guys know by now, the Canadian border and headed down. He did not, but I don't know if you watched my 3-part series, the videos I did for the PCT Trail Days, which was in the middle of August in Cascade Locks. But he showed up for that, and he planned on about a 10-day or so, I forget exactly, sorry Adam. So he planned on just going from Cascade Locks southbound for about maybe 100 or 200 miles, depending on how he felt. And he ended up getting sick though, and getting some kind of stomach bug. So he only went 3 or 4 days and then had to go home. So, but right now that's it for his long distance hiking. But I love that kid. I plan on keeping in touch with him. And Adam, if you see this, I'm glad you're doing well. And you know, we're gonna keep in touch, I think, for a long time. So that's good. All right. So Terry Savini asked me, did you have a self-care routine? In effect, stretching, massage, vitamins, etc. I kind of in my mind did. My main thing was that I wanted to stretch. You know, being in my 50s, I thought, well, I'm going to stretch and do all that. I had hiked myself in decent shape starting the trail. You know, I was doing 15-mile days. So for about a week, I stretched in my tent at night and a little bit in the morning. But as time went by, slowly kind of stopped doing it and actually kind of forgot about it. So I didn't have a stretching or vitamins or anything like that. Basically what I would do is when I got up early, I was an early riser and always tried to get on trail by 7 or earlier. I would just take it slow the first few miles and just go slow. As I got in better shape and lost weight, I just felt better and better and better. So I didn't feel too tight On the days that I felt horrible, I would stretch some, but that's about it. But I would just take it easy for 2-3 miles and then kind of warm myself up into it. For this next, when I continue my through hike, I think I'm going to bring, it's a very lightweight, I'm thinking about it, cork massage ball for my feet, because on the trail, like, everything for the most part felt great, but your feet just kill you. When you get brand new pair of shoes, they feel good, but as your shoes break down, your feet start to kill you, and you're just on your feet doing 20-25 every day. So I plan on maybe bringing a massage ball. You can also use your hiking and trekking poles to rub your feet. So I may just do that and not worry about the cork ball, but that's my plan right now. So this is an interesting question. Ross Blasingame asked me, what is the watch you're wearing, and in what manner is it useful on the trail? So I wanted a lightweight watch that wasn't too cumbersome, too big. I have a lot of watches, but some of them are big and heavy or don't really do what I want. I wanted to do the basic things. It has a light at night so I can see it in my tent, see what time it is. It also, what I really liked about this is it actually tells you the temperature, but when you have it on the back of your wrist, it measures from the back of the watch. So when it's on your wrist and your wrist is hot, it'll pretty much measure the temperature of your body. So you have to take it off. A lot of times I throw that in I take it off at night in my tent, and purposely in the middle of the night or whatever, just look at it and see what the temperature was and see how low it got that night. But it has to be off your wrist for maybe an hour or more. And so that's what I got. It's very light. I'll put the weight and the cost and a picture of it from Amazon. I got it on Amazon. Very inexpensive watch. I might do things differently and just get a cheapo watch, take this off my wrist and put something, clip it on my, I've seen some other hikers do it, just clip a little small watch where I can just look at it and not have it on my wrist. So that's a thought that I might do coming up. Okay, so Doug Pulsifer asked, what would prevent a hiker from starting in Manning Park and going south to Hart's Pass? So if you guys don't know where that is, I attempted to hike from Campo, which is the Mexico United States border, north 2,650 miles to the Canadian U.S. border, and then when you finish, you hike another. The monument is actually in the middle of nowhere. You have to hike about 8.5 miles to a place called Manning Park in Canada. So that was my exact question too, because what hikers have to do is 30-mile trail miles from the Canadian border where I would have normally finished is where people get dropped off on this very long, dusty dirt road that my trail angels, Dave and Christy, took me on to drop me off. Most people get dropped off at that 30-mile mark. You have to basically waste 30 miles, go up to the Canadian border touch, and then start hiking south for real, and these miles count. So to answer your question though, and the reason I thought that'd be a great idea is just to go into Canada and start hiking south. It would save a lot of time and miles and effort, but it is against the law to enter the United States from the Canadian border. There are sometimes rangers out there, sometimes not, but you do not want to get caught sneaking into Canada. It's not sneaking because, you know, you're going into the country that you live in, U.S., if you're a U.S. resident, but it is against the law. So you cannot start in Manning Park, hike that 8.5 miles south to the border, touch the line, and keep going south. That would be a simple way to do it, but no, the hikers that do southbound, and like myself, I flipped, I did the desert, then flew up to Seattle. Dave and Christy gave me right up there. I had to hike 30 miles to get to the border to start becoming a southbounder. So there's no way around that unless you want to risk it and break the law. I heard it's a huge fine and probably jail time. All right, last question is from Bobby Gator. At what point did you worry about hanging a food bag during the first 700 miles, which is considered the desert? I didn't, to be honest with you. The main thing not that there aren't bears, there are some, but the main thing I worried about more was rodents, things like that, which I didn't have a problem with, thank goodness, in the desert. I didn't technically hang my food bag, but there was one campground, it's in my videos, whereas we did a 20-mile day, and as we got really close to this design campground, it's like a state park that you could camp in and the hikers could camp free. You know, they have fire rings and all that. When we were walking on this dirt road we were just literally a quarter mile from where the campground was, I saw big bear footprints in the dirt road we're walking on, so I said, there's bear. When we got to the campground, I showed in my video, but there was garbage strewn all over the place, and they have those enclosed tough garbage cans or garbage bins that bears can't get in, but somebody left a plastic bag full of garbage sitting on the outside of it, and a bear tore it up. So we knew there were bear there. We didn't know if they were close by, so what we did was, one guy hung his pack, he set up his tent and everything, and he hung his pack with his food up in a tree, but Adam, Grant, and I just put our food bags up on this really high roof on the restroom, the bathroom, the outhouse. So That's what we did. It was up, the walls were too steep for the bear to get up there. We just put him up there. So one time I did that, but like I wouldn't worry about that. And if you do, I didn't see any other hikers hanging their food bags. So, you know, I wouldn't worry about that too much. If you do it. I brought 50 feet of ultralight cord in case I need to hang it in the desert, and I had it the whole way. So do it if you want. And, you know, it's kind of personal preference. I didn't worry about it. I imagine some people did hang it, but for the most part, I didn't see anybody hanging their food in the desert. All right, guys, that does it for this week's Q&A, number 12. I hope you enjoyed that and learned a little bit of something. And as always, subscribe, like, share if you're on Facebook. As I've said before, please go check out my Patreon. It's starting to grow now. Thank you. I have a brand new one. It's Dave and Christy. Dave and Christy, thank you so much. Those are my trail angels from the Seattle area. And you guys know you didn't have to do that, so I appreciate it. So yeah, just go and check it out. It can be $1 up to 10, 20,000 if you want to donate that per month. That's great too. But yeah, you can do it as low as $1, and it really helps support me. Every dollar I've said is going in a separate account that's going to go towards gear. I'm looking at a possible upgrading camera, things like that. So it's all going to go for my next through hike to provide better quality adventures, but especially to finish my through hike. All right, so next time we'll see you down the trail.